Welcome to the Mom CEO podcast. I'm your host, Esther Roach. Join me as we explore the dynamic intersection of motherhood and entrepreneurship. From the challenges to the triumphs, we're here to unravel it all. Get ready for insightful conversations, practical wisdom, and a whole lot of inspiration. Let's embark on this empowering journey together. Hello and welcome to the Mom CEO podcast. I'm your host, Esther Roach, and today I'm joined by Denrele. Hello, Denrele. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Esther. It's so lovely to be here. I'm excited.
Now, it's really lovely to have you. If you'd like to please introduce yourself to the audience.
My name is Denrele Edwards. I'm the founder of Roake Skin. We are a brand for mature and menopausal skin, and I'm a mom of four.
You are a mom of four. You're a busy lady yourself, aren't you? Tell us a little bit about your family and your kids.
So when I say I'm a mom of four, my son will be 30 by the end of this year. I've got a set of twins. They're 27, and then I've got I call her my handbag, my little one. She's 14. So she's the one that keeps me busy and active.
But the thing is, though, despite being in their late 20s, 30s, you never stop being a mom, though, do you?
No, you don't. And to be honest with you, when I had the first three, so first of all, let me say, I was going to have two kids.
Right.
And then I had a set of twins. So I had three kids. And I was done with childbearing. I was done with that. My son was 15 and my daughters were 12 and they were all in boarding school. So I thought, this is my time to, go do me. Because when they were growing up, I had been a stay-at-home mom mostly, and then I had started my business. But with kids, you always have to plan everything around them. So when they went to boarding school, I thought, okay, this is my me time. And then I had my 40th birthday. And a couple of weeks later, I'm feeling funny. And I do a test, voila, I'm pregnant.
Oh,
That
wow.
was a shock.
Wow. It must have been a right shock as well, because like you say, when in your mind, if you're thinking, oh, I'm done, and also you've just hit 40, it must have been quite, wow, what's going on?
It was such a shock. I remember doing the test, finding out I was pregnant, and messaging my husband because at that point, actually, I'd just taken my kids back to boarding, so I was away from home, and I just texted him, "I am pregnant. Do not call me." And for the next 48 hours, I refused to speak to him
Oh,
because it
no.
was such a shock. And well,
The
she's
rest is
14 now, so the rest is history. She's the best gift ever, and I could not imagine my life without her. I am. She was just a bless. She's just a blessing. I couldn't have planned it, but I'm a Christian, so I'm a person of faith. It was just God in action, and it was amazing.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? When you look at all of it and sort of think, how did you manage to do that? But it's being able to adapt, I suppose, which is an experience that's important, not just as a mom, but in business as well. So tell us a little bit about
Absolutely. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last question.
how did you find with your journey? Obviously, like I'm saying, it's almost like really similar in terms of how
Mhm.
you have to be adaptable in life. So stay at home mom, then you have your fourth child, which you didn't think you were going to have another one after the twins.
Mhm. Mhm.
How did you adapt with everything that was happening, and then eventually getting out from being a stay-at-home mom?
Oh my God. So, like I said, I had started as a stay-at-home mom, and then because of my kids, I wanted to work. Obviously, I always wanted to work and do something for myself. but I knew that I wanted to be present with my children. So my older children grew up mostly back in Nigeria, and we have the opportunity to have like nannies and things like that. And because people are busy and it's a kind of busy lifestyle, you sort of find a lot of people having to leave their kids with a nanny just because they have to go out and earn an income. Fortunately for me, I didn't necessarily have that urgency or pressure to go out and work at that time, but I knew that I always wanted to do my business. So when they started school, I actually started a business. I started in skincare as a Mary Kay consultant because I've always loved skin. I've just always loved skin. Growing up, my mom, I would watch her just look after herself, the whole process of from having a shower to moisturizing. It was such a ritual for her. She would say, when I was growing up, my mom would say, go pamper yourself. So if she wanted to say, have you had your bath? Go have your bath. She'd be like, go pamper yourself. So for me, skincare and just, looking after yourself has always been a part of growing up. So going in, starting as a Mary Kay consultant and going into skin was just very natural for me. So I started my business when they went off to school. And it was fine. It was great. It was a successful business. From Mary Kay, I moved to having a boutique. So I sort of had a one-stop place where I learned aesthetics. So I had a skin clinic, a boutique. It was just a lot of things going on. And then, like I said, my 40th birthday, I found out I was pregnant with my daughter and Kayla. And the motivation just you know. Fortunately, because I work for myself, obviously, it was easy to make a decision. And I just said to myself, I'm going to shut down again. And I shut down that business because, unlike the other ones when I was young and I was prepared, this was not that easy and it was not that smooth. Because when I got pregnant with her, I then found out that I had fibroids, they were calcifying, and I was in constant pain, had to be on hospital bed rest at some point. It was so different. It was so different from, the first three. So for a while, I wasn't doing anything. I shut down my business. I did not have motivation. Plus, again, I wanted to be at home to look after her. And again, I didn't have a pressure to earn an income. So it was a good decision to make until, I don't know if I can go on, when Kayla was just about three, her dad, my husband, passed very suddenly. Very suddenly, just on a normal day, went out, never came back because he had a cardiac arrest, and it just passed. And here was me, a stay-at-home mom, not working, not earning an income, four kids. Three of them were already in boarding at that time. My son had been in the UK for A levels. He was in boarding school. My daughters were just on their way coming to the UK. We sorted out the school, and I had Kayla, and then my husband passed.
How, it's like, sometimes when you read something, you sort of don't look at it and think this is actually happening, but it is actually happening and it is life. But it seems like you obviously have been through not just one challenge, but several challenges, and even with closing a business, because I think it's one of those things that even as somebody's thinking about starting a business or even work, whatever it is, people look at sort of shutting down as failure. They wouldn't look at it as a positive thing, but you seem to have that clear intention when you make your decisions. What sort of advice would you give somebody else who's in between that, or I don't know, or if I fail, it means I just can't do anything in my life?
To answer that and to sort of go back slightly to your initial question of adapting, so that was to build foundation of how at different times in my life I had to adapt to things. I remember just before I got married, I'd been in the UK, I was working, and I went back home to marry my husband, and I decided to stay. So I was prepared for a separate life, and we got married and everything changed. I didn't even leave where I thought I was going to live. And then, like I said, my husband passed. I was not working. So I've had to adapt a lot and to sort of make decisions based on what is happening at the moment. And sometimes it's not every time actually. It's not easy. It's not easy starting. It's not easy stopping. It's not easy starting again. And I would like to say that I did not make any of those decisions lightly. Growing up, my mom was a single parent because my dad passed quite early as well when I was just 11. So I watched my mom. She had to go out to work. She was the best mother, but she was always out because she had to fend for us as a single parent. And I knew that I wanted to be present for my kids. And that was for me the priority in all the decisions that I made. So while I say that, oh, I shut down the business, those were not decisions that I made very, very, very lightly at all, because I'd gotten to the point where, I was succeeding and I was building a really successful business and I was very happy. But I thought it was important that all my kids had the same opportunity. So the older three, they had me, do all the school run, do all that. The older me, it wasn't going to be so easy, but I just could not imagine at that point if I didn't do it when I was younger. Now that things are even like to do it. Yeah. So I have never seen adapting as failure, and I'll tell you why. So like I said, I was a stay-at-home mom. I wasn't working. My kids were like, "Oh, mom, what's going to happen to us?" I had to adapt. I had to say to myself, okay, you have to pick up yourself as no matter what's happening, because these children are depending on you. But I always knew again that I just wanted to do my business. I have this entrepreneurial spirit, watching my mom, that's what she was. And I knew it would give me the flexibility of time to manage my time, because I still wanted to be home for my little one as well. So again, I had to adapt. And then I started a new business, obviously in skincare, because that's where everything starts and stuff. So I started another business for my, to bring up my kids. And then again, adaptability. We were living in Nigeria. My older kids were here in the UK. We would see them on holidays. My little one was growing up literally without having a deep relationship with her siblings, because they'd been gone for as long as she'd been alive. So yes, she'd see them in the summer, maybe Christmas, but I knew that that was not what I wanted for them. And I made a decision again to shut down my very successful business, because now I had a salon and spa that was thriving and was doing well in Lagos. But I wanted my daughter to have a deeper bond with her kids. I said to myself, you're not going younger. I was now in my 50s. And I'm not, because I think anything is going to happen, but I'm saying to myself, these older ones are getting much older. They're going to start their family. They're going to move on with their lives. If she doesn't build a relationship with them now, by the time they start their family, they will be so busy and she will not find a space with them. So I decided to move back to the UK, and I sold that business. It was not easy. My family, my sisters, especially my older sister, was like, "No, how can you do this?" But I knew that I could not leave my business in the hands of somebody else and be away, because the plan was I was going to be with my daughter.
Yeah.
So I knew that I could not leave the business. So I sold that business again and I moved. And when I say that, it may sound, oh gosh, she's always selling, but I'm constantly adapting and making decisions as they go. And I think that is very important for an entrepreneur. And in mindset. Do you get what I mean? One of the things I know and I say a lot is fail fast, or be quick to make decisions. If you think that where you are is not working, something is not working, it's very important to look at it very quickly and make whatever decision that you need to make. Will you always get it right? No. But if you have to make a decision, it's better to make that decision. And I've moved back to the UK, started my business. That's how I met you.
It's quite, all the points you've mentioned, honestly, we could talk forever about them. And like you're saying, I absolutely agree. As they say, if you're going to fail fast, if that makes sense, because you need to see things, you need to be proactive and analyze, because sometimes I think what happens is, as entrepreneurs, if there's something you're really not sure about, you kind of hide and sort of think, instead of facing it, you kind of think, oh yeah, I'll leave it to the side. It'll sort itself out, but it doesn't. You've got to face it. You've got to deal with it and make a decision that's going to help for the longevity of the business. And you came over, you started, we met, we're both in skincare business. So tell me about studying. You're definitely proving that age is just a number. So you can start all over at any age, and it's absolutely fine.
You can start over at any age. I'm a firm believer in that. I, I get a lot of inspiration from the Bible, and I look at people like Moses, and he was 80 when he had to lead the children of Israel. Imagine leading so many people out of bondage. So for me, age is not a barrier. Age, age is not a barrier. And that's what Roake is about. That's why we're specifically for mature and menopausal skin, because I want to change the narrative about aging and about getting older. And I think even making that move for me, because obviously, if no one in their right mind would, in their 50s, offload or unpack everything they're doing, move to a new country with a different culture, everything, and start all over again. If I had looked at my age as a limit, there's no way I would have made that move, because I was very comfortable. I was very comfortable. And coming back to the UK, I did not know what to expect. I did not know how it was going to go. But I went because, again, we don't move without direction or without a plan. So there was a plan. The plan is you go, you do this, you start your business, you do a skincare brand. Does the plan always work? No. But if you have a plan, then you can work within that plan. So why Rogue? Because growing older is not a fading, it's an evolving, or it's an evolution. And having been in skincare for so many years and talking to women, as a consultant, as an esthetician, I see a lot of women who are afraid to get older, you know, we don't want to grow old. I was talking to somebody who was in her 30s, and she was saying to me, "Oh, I'm afraid of getting old." And she started all the fillers and all the Botox. And I'm not knocking it for people who want to do that, but for me, I think that your skin tells the story of the life that you've lived. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And if I have laugh lines, it just tells everybody that I have laughed a lot. Why would I want to erase that? So I want women to embrace the privilege that it is to get older, because not everybody gets to get old. Like I said, my dad passed in his 40s, actually at 40, and my husband passed when he was 48. Now I'm in my 50s. I appreciate the fact that I've been able to watch my children grow. They did not have that privilege. Why should I be anti-aging? Why should I not want to get older? Because for me, what's the alternative? You know?
Yeah, it's such a strong, um, well, not statement, but it's really sad, like what you're saying, because I tend to see, because I'm in the same line. and I talk about people embracing the skin they're in and who they are, we sort of have similarities on that one, all about embracing. But it's really sad when you look at especially the younger generation, because you've got so much stuff happening on TikTok, on Instagram, and there's a lot of influence that something is wrong with their skin before they're even, you're talking somebody who's 30, but you've got children as young as 12 that are being exposed to, already they don't feel secure, already they don't feel comfortable about, their own skin, whatever is going on with them, because they feel this need that it has to be perfect, it has to be changed. But what is the definition of beauty?
I think that it's very important that as moms that we're, building confidence in our children and helping them to see themselves and to see all the good in themselves and appreciate themselves. So, I mean, growing up, I didn't have my mom telling me you're beautiful or you're great. She was a great mom, but those just weren't, I mean, this is 40 odd years ago. Those just were not things that you tell your kids. But with my kids, I try to be intentional, about affirming them, speaking the right words, because I think that words really matter and the words that you speak are so powerful. There's a Yoruba proverb, because I'm Yoruba, that words are like water. When you pour water, you don't know where it's going to flow. If you just spill a cup of water, it's just going to flow and you don't know where it's going to flow. So words are like water and they're very powerful. And when you shape your children with the wrong words, it can have a very, very negative effect. I'm not saying that everyone who is insecure is because they don't have the right words, but I think that foundations are very, very important. So with my kids, and especially with my last one, because she's come to live in this time where, the social media and everything is just crazy. I always say to her that you have to like yourself, you have to know who you are. And I tell her all those things, but more importantly, I tell her to tell herself as well. I've had instances where she's come and said, "Oh, mom, somebody said this to me in school. Nobody likes me." And I say to her, "I like you. I love you. Your brothers love you. Your sisters love you. All the people that love you matter. And the people who don't, they don't matter." So I say to her, the people who matter don't care about your flaws or whatever. And the people who care don't matter. I try to have her, you know, have that mindset so that she believes in herself and she understands that there will be situations or there will be people who may not see me the way I am. And that's fine because they don't matter. I don't know. Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
that makes a lot of sense, and that's absolutely right as well, because you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but that's okay. I think it's understanding and knowing who you are, and what is your purpose, what is your intention, and I think it's those people around you will understand what that is all about. But from everything you've said, what sort of qualities or what sort of things do you feel being a mum has helped you with in terms of your business life?
Hmm. To be excellent.
Hmm.
So I believe in having an excellent spirit. And that doesn't mean I do everything perfectly, but it means that I have a mindset of and for excellence. I remember when my older kids were growing up, I would always say to them, if I wanted them to do something or ask them to do something, and like, I don't know how to, I would say to them, learn. There's no I don't know how to in our family dictionary. There's no I can't in our family dictionary. There's just no room for not trying, not pushing yourself, not going out of your comfort zone. Do you get what I mean? And I would like to think that I bring that into business as well. I'll tell you a story. When before I started my business after my husband passed, like I said, I had always done my own business and done my own thing, and I had to go work. Now, everybody's just because of the things I've done in my business, everybody just sees me as someone who can do. And I went to be a general manager in this big organization. And I had no clue how to manage at that level. Do you get what I mean? And they were saying so many things. I mean, when I went into a meeting, they just thought I knew everything. And I would have my phone under the table on Google, Googling to understand. I don't know if I was going to say this in public, just trying to understand what they were saying. And then I would come up with an answer. I'm just saying to you, that is how far I went. I would try to find out something before I ask a question. And I'm not saying do not ask for help or do not ask people for, people, but I think that it's very important that you're constantly, researching, checking, educating yourself. And that's what I did with my kids. And I think that's what I brought into my business as well. Just constantly teaching, constantly learning, constantly going out of my comfort zone and pushing boundaries to do things that I never would have thought that I could do. And that's the journey of an entrepreneur, isn't it? It can be hard and it can be lonely if you don't have like help or support system. So I would say learn as much as you can, and then obviously have the right support system around you as well. Because again, when you are talking to people, people also want to feel that you have something to offer as well, don't they?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And like you said, that's one of the most important things because you can't really just tackle business without doing the research. That's another thing that people sort of miss. But they also miss the journey, the hard work, what happens in the background and
Oh God.
the sides. I think sometimes when you're out there, it just looks like, oh my God, they're so successful and it must have been so easy. And it's like you don't realize the base level of what is actually happening in that person's life and the decisions they have to make. And I think more so as well when you have children because each of them are different and you're dealing with different things
Each
at
of
different
them are
times.
so different. Each of them are so different. I mean, for someone who has a set of twins and they are identical, but they can be the same and they can be different. So if I was to ask somebody, one of them something, I can be sure the other one is going to answer in exactly the same way. But when maybe one is being like very good, and you're thinking, oh, yes, why don't you? I mean, I obviously with twins, I learned very early never to compare any of my children,
Yeah.
really. But with the moment you think, oh, she's behaving this way or she's doing this, the other one switches. So you're never able to say, this is how this person is or that is how this person is. And I think that that is life, really. That's the life that we live, that things are constantly changing and things are constantly, evolving. And if you're not able to pivot, if you're not able to change with things, you
Mm.
may find yourself being left behind. And I think that that happens a lot sometimes. Maybe we're not paying attention to the change or we're not seeing the signs, we're not looking far ahead. So obviously, it's good to be present in the moment where you're at. But in business with your decisions, you should constantly be looking beyond what is happening now and sort of projecting and, just picturing and seeing the evolution of the movement because things are constantly going to change.
Oh yeah, and there is that constant move, isn't it? Everything is always constantly sort of on the move and on the app. So it's about just searching and making sure you are aware of what's happening within your industry, really, rather than second guessing or going with something that's so backdated that you don't even have a chance to survive in that environment. So with regards to obviously, you talk about glowing in confidence. Where can people find you, and what sort of things do you do? What sort of things do you offer women? It's mainly women, isn't it? We work with.
Yeah, it's women. I do obviously I do a lot some mentoring. I do some one-on-one mentoring for women, uh for couples sometimes too. You can find me on LinkedIn, you can find me on Instagram. I'll be honest with you, I'm not great on social media. And I know I should be. I'm just not one of those great people on social media, but I'm there. So you can find me. I'm on LinkedIn, Denrele Edwards. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, on all everywhere we should be, really. I'm there. And obviously we have a website, roakeskin.com.
Fantastic. Well, at least people know where they can find you. The main thing is obviously, I think, just having that positive affirmation and really understanding and digging deep, isn't it, about the way the beauty industry is perceived. And I think you've got what, 30 years plus experience. That's so much experience, and you've witnessed and seen a lot of things and a lot of, I would say, damages and what can happen to people's minds, which I've certainly seen over the years as well. That it's very easy for somebody to think, oh, I'm not good enough, and my skin is like this. And I think more so as well, you've got the side of people that are not parents, but you've also got the people that are moms that think, oh, once I've had a child, it's like, that's it, I've written off my skincare, my everything is just gone kaput because I've become a parent. So it's really challenging. You don't quite know, how to sort of approach that, but it's almost like they need a central thing where you can really encourage people to say, you can embrace, you can look good regardless of your
You
age or your
you
situation.
you can look good. I would say that when I started beauty, we were told that aging is the enemy and youth is the goal. And for years, that was what I did. I was the queen of anti-aging. I'm like, I'm gonna help you stay young. I'm gonna help you not grow old. I believed it. I told myself that for years
Mm.
until I didn't. When I was gonna start my skincare brand, I struggled. I struggled with finding a niche because I knew that I wanted to be inclusive. When I started my career in beauty, we were told that youth is the goal and aging is the enemy. And by all means, stay young. So for years, I sold women on anti-aging, and I would say to you, we can turn back the clock. We can turn back time. But can we really? Without causing or doing damages to ourselves, injecting all sorts of unspeakable things. And as I got older, with all the things and with the experience, I realized that I do not want to turn back the clock. I can't imagine being 30 again. I don't want to be 30 again. When I was 30, I had three children under 5. It was hard. It was very, very difficult. I I don't want to be 30 and I wouldn't trade where I am now, because I think there's something they say about when you're in your 50s or once you're past your 40s, you really start to leave. And I think that look at all the things that have happened. Have they been hard? Yes. But I have got this life to live and I want to leave. I want to grow old. I want to I want to thrive. I don't want to just get by or just coast through. I want to make impact. I want to have a meaningful life. And honestly, some things only come with getting older. Some things only come, as you get older and as time moves on or as time passes. So for anyone out there who is struggling with things like this, I think that you live your best life the moment you decide that you want to live your best life. It's really a decision.
Mm.
Is it easy? No. Sometimes you have to consciously make that decision every day. So this morning, I went for a walk. I haven't been for my walks in a really long time. And when I go out, I just look at nature. I look at the trees. the sky. I look at the different shapes in the cloud. One of the things I find most amazing is when I look at the trees, is I think of when I was walking maybe earlier in the year and the trees were barren and there were no leaves. And now the trees are green again. And I'm constantly amazed. I'm thinking, no one waters these trees. I mean, they're just there. The grass, everything is just there. But when it's time to bloom, the bloom. So what am I trying to say? Life is in seasons.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's winter, it's autumn, all the trees are falling, and it's winter, all the trees are bare, nothing is happening. But then spring will come
Mm.
and summer will come. It always comes. Seasons always change. Things are constantly happening, and that is life. So wherever you are now, it's going to pass, it's going to move. Whether it's good, because spring and summer, they give into, autumn and winter, but spring will come again, and summer will come again. And that's the story of our lives, isn't it?
No, absolutely. And the whole thing with seasons, I'm constantly telling some of my friends that, because it's one of those things that sometimes you feel like so overwhelmed and you think, oh my gosh, is this situation gonna pass? But it does pass. And it's, even not just the business sense, but even talking from being a parent sense, you have them as a baby, then they're toddlers, they consistently evolve, and you've got different challenges, you've got different things to kind of deal with as they get older. But you don't stop being a mum regardless of how old they become. But you're just dealing with the slightly different things. You're not dealing with nappies anymore, but you move on to the next and the next and the next, and that's life. That's all the different seasons that we have. So
Absolutely.
incredible. It's just amazing, really. And I think it's about, perhaps if we see that and we kind of realize that it's one, you're not the only one, because that's another issue where people think, "Oh, I'm the only one going through." Our
The
challenges are
only one.
different, but everybody goes through something.
I wish that we would talk to each other more. I wish that people would be a bit more open and honest and talk about, the challenges, because there are a lot of challenges. And when we don't share the failures, the challenges, the hardship, we do a disservice to the people who are looking at us, because when they struggle, they may find it hard to reach out and to talk to somebody, because if they think that you have it all together and everything is perfect, everybody wants to be perfect. I think it's important that we show some of our vulnerabilities and just be real and honest, and it will make the world a really much better place, really.
No,
It's not
absolutely.
all success, even for the successful people. It's
Yeah.
not all success, and it's a journey. It's a journey. It's a long journey. It's not a sprint, And I don't want to be cliched and say, "Oh, it's a marathon." It is truly a marathon. So
And it feels like
yeah,
that sometimes, but I think it's just about, it's how you deal with it. It's how you manage to rise up to the different things. And like you said, it's one of the most important things is being able to reach out to those people that you can talk to and get that support and that help. But I might say, having met you in real life, your skin looks amazing anyway. So you're doing something right.
thank you. It's Roake all the way. But I want to say this to you, Esther, just touching on what you said now, it is so important. And I really love what you're doing, because then you're giving people a platform to share their stories as well. And who knows who listening to any of your podcasts, can benefit from that. So this is such a lovely, beautiful thing that you're doing. And well done. And thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you so much. Thank you for coming onto the show and sharing honestly today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you. So thank you so much.